Samuel Tarly was training to become the new maester for the Night's Watch at the Citadel, while he learns that there is actually a giant stash of dragon glass on Dragonstone. So he sends a raven to his pal Jon Snow to head to Dragonstone in order to farm the dragon glass and create weapons to fight the White Walkers. Makes sense. So Jon arrives at Dragonstone, where he actually meets Daenerys, because she's now in Westeros, and they meet for the first time, and he pleads with her to help him fight the true terror to the north and allow him to farm the dragon glass. She wants him to bend the knee, but he says no. But they end up working out a deal because Tyrion really trusts Jon from when he met him at the wall and advises Dany to trust him as well. And so Jon then says that they need to convince Cersei in order to have a ceasefire while they fight the White Walkers. But Tyrion knows his sister's not going to do that, so they actually need to convince her by bringing a white to Cersei to show her the terror. Now Arya had just killed a bunch of Freys at the Twins and is now making her way back to Winterfell, where she runs into Ed Sheeran. Yeah, I guess this is a shared universe with the real universe. Is Ed Sheeran like God? I don't know. I'm confused. Anyways, Arya returns to Winterfell to find that Sansa is ruling in Jon's stead, and the two sisters are reunited. But what you think would be a heartwarming reunion, since they haven't seen each other since King's Landing in Season 1, ends up being a lot more tension, because Arya doesn't really trust Sansa's motives, and Littlefinger really isn't helping the situation either by saying all sorts of weird things to Sansa. Now we take a look at Euron Greyjoy, who's actually able to capture Yara Greyjoy, his niece, but Theon escapes to safety somehow, because Theon is a rat. And Euron then travels to King's Landing and presents Cersei with a gift of his prisoners, the Sand Snakes from Dorne. Cersei really appreciates being able to get her revenge on the women that killed her daughter, and she decides to actually team up with Euron, but she tells him she's not going to marry him. Now, back to Jon Snow, he grabs the Magnificent Seven of Jon Snow, the Hound, Beric Dondarrion, Thoros of Myr, Gendry, Tormund Giantsbane, and Jorah Mormont, and a couple other nameless dudes, who cares, and they head north past the wall to capture a white in order to bring it to Cersei. Now, along the way, some of those nameless men die, and then they're attacked by a freaking zombie bear! And the bear eats Thoros of Myr, just takes a giant bite of his stomach, and Thoros ends up dying. Our fearless heroes are being chased by the walkers, so Jon sends Gendry back to the wall to ask for help. Now our 5 remaining heroes are trapped on an island in the middle of a lake, surrounded by walkers. They definitely get like the beginning of hypothermia, because they wait hours and hours for help. Then the Hound's like, these things suck. I hate these things. So he throws a rock at one of the walkers, and everybody realizes that the lake is now frozen solid. So the walkers rush straight for our heroes. Our fearless heroes fight off the walkers as best they can, doing everything possible. But it's just not enough. It's not enough until Daenerys freaking Targaryen flies in on Drogon, burning the whites, killing them, murdering all these zombie creatures, and her dragons flying overhead, making this beautiful scene. And Dany says, get on Drogon, and all of our heroes get on Drogon and carry on this white prisoner that they have as Jon fights off the remaining whites. All of a sudden, amidst all the fray, the Night King grabs a giant ice spear, and he goes full on Olympian and nails Viserion right in the side, straight out of the sky, killing him. Dany can't believe what they see, and Jon tells everyone to flee, and he is left behind to fight the whites and ends up crashing through the ice into the lake as the others escape. Jon then climbs out of the lake and is rescued by none other than his uncle Benjen Stark, who puts Jon on his horse and sends him towards the wall as Benjen sacrifices himself to save his beloved nephew. Oh my god. Jon returns to the wall and is put on Dany's ship, headed for King's Landing. Dany comes to him as Jon lays lifeless in the bed, healing, trying to feel better. Clearly, she's falling in love with Jon. And Jon opens his eyes, holds her hand, and calls her his queen, for he will bend the knee for her. So as a group, they arrive at King's Landing, and they have a massive meeting with like Cersei and Euron and Jaime and all of Cersei's council to discuss how to approach the White Walker situation. They show Cersei the white that they captured, and everyone is petrified. Euron asks if these walkers can swim, and when he's told they can't, he flees back to the Iron Islands to stay as far away from these things as he can. Cersei says she'll agree to a truce if Jon swears to take neither side in the war to come, but Jon Snow says he can't do that because he already swore fealty to Daenerys. Now Cersei is pissed and she says, well, then we don't have a deal, and she leaves. Tyrion says we haven't come all this way for nothing and goes to meet with his sister, even knowing that she wants him dead and this could be her opportunity to kill him very easily. But somehow Tyrion's able to convince Cersei to have a truce until the walkers are dealt with. I don't know how he did it, but he did it. Now back in Winterfell, Arya and Sansa kind of gave Littlefinger the old okie doke, and they actually put him on trial for starting the war with the Lannisters and killing so many people along the way. And as Littlefinger begs Sansa for his life, down on his knees, Arya cuts his throat with Peter's own Valyrian steel dagger. Oh, sweet, sweet justice. Lastly, after leaving King's Landing, we see Jon and Dany on Dany's ship, headed back to Dragonstone. In the background, we hear Bran's voice narrating everything as he tells Sam he needs to tell Jon something very important. Jon's true identity is not the son of Ned Stark. No, in fact, he is the son of Rhaegar Targaryen and Lyanna Stark, the true heir to the Iron Throne. And as Bran says this, we watch Jon go full penny on Dany amongst the wolfskin blankets, getting into an unknown incest fest. The Hashtag Dork Podcast.